I'm Tina McElroy, and we're here with two old chicks who know a lot of shit. I'm here with my podcast my podcast partner, Wanda Lloyd. Hey, Wanda.
Hey, Tina. How you doing?
I am doing very well. And yourself?
Well, I'm doing well, and I'm still just glowing in the comments we got in our last episode with Iyanla Van Zant. So if we have a few new listeners tonight, you need to go back and listen to the last episode. I think it's season 2, episode 5. Yes. So, and also welcome aboard if we have any new listeners.
Absolutely. It's on Spotify and on it's up on YouTube. So you can hear and see her. Yeah.
And wait a minute, Tina, to follow up on that. Have you been taking your trash out every day like Iyanla told us on our last podcast?
Yeah, well, those who heard her say that we have to get back in order, that we're out of order. And I was very interested in that. And one of the things she said was, she takes her trash out every night. So you take your trash out every night, you make your bed every day. And I got a little quiet.
You been doing that?
But I want you to know, I just took my trash out before we started recording, and I have been taking my trash out every single day. And it's not a big deal. I take it out just before dark. But I haven't gotten to that making that bed thing yet, Wanda.
Okay.
Baby steps.
I've been working on that since 1967, right, Tina, when we were roommates at Spelman. So I don't expect that. I don't expect that to happen.
I think I saw your made bed before I saw you.
You probably did. So what have you been up to lately? Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. I saw your booty of fish on social media, Tina.
Yeah, I know. What did you call it?
I called it a booty of fish.
A booty of fish. What a wonderful word. Booty. Oh, I love that. Y'all will understand soon or anon why I get so excited about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show.
Good.
But you saw my post on social media?
Yeah, and I was so jealous because you had fresh fish. I mean, fresh right out of the ocean off the boat, right?
I most certainly did.
Yeah,
I not only had fresh fish off the boat, I had next door neighbor fresh fish. I've been looking for, when we first moved in, I noticed that my closest neighbor, who I call the mayor of our street, because he knows everything, everybody goes to him. I go to him for all my questions. He's been a real kind man since Sinead passed, especially, helping me with the car and that kind of thing. But when I moved in, he had a flat bottom boat. I saw he has, some vehicles in his yard. And I said, the first time, oh, neighbor, I said, you go fishing? He said, yeah, I go fishing. So I said, hey, you have to take me next time. And he laughed, I guess he thought I was just joking. And he never offered. But just before the weekend, I looked up and there he was going out of the yard, down our dirt road with his truck and the flat bottom boat on the back of his truck, and Chip, his friend, in the front seat of the truck with him. I said, he went fishing, so I just brushed them off. And I happened to be in the backyard when they pulled back in. So I said, hey, you getting anything? And they said, yeah, we got some fish, want some? I was like, oh, heck yeah, I want some. He said, they're not clean. I said, I know how to clean fish. So I took them, and I got a plastic bag and some newspaper, because that's how my mama used to do it. And got me a chair outside and a brick, set them up on there. And I took some pictures of them clean. And then, then I took some pictures of them. I took some pictures of them the way they came and they're normal.
Yeah, that's what I saw at first.
The original state,
right? So with the fins and everything. I
cut the heads off and put them in a bag and put them in the freezer. The fish heads. So when it's time to go crabbing, I'll grab my crab trap. I'll have my bait all ready, and all I have to do is just go to the pier or go to my whatever favorite crabbing spot. I love to go crabbing. And everybody who visits me usually ends up going crabbing, because that's what I like to do. So
we use chicken backs for crabbing. I've never used fish heads, so that's something new.
It's fish heads, chicken backs, and chicken necks.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. We usually have some chicken. I haven't cut up a chicken, so I don't have any chicken backs, but I got some fish heads, so I'm ready. I'm ready. So it was just a wonderful experience. And then I shared it, like you said, on social media, and everybody really, like you say, was jealous. It was sweet, Wanda. You know how fish can be sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, it was fresh and it was sweet. It was so good. So that's what I've been doing. What about you? Oh, wait a minute. That's what I'm doing in the country down here on St. Simon. What are you doing up there in the city in Savannah?
Girl, please. Well, for one thing,
mouse, city mouse.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, well, for one thing, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about getting out, after 2 years of hardly seeing people outside of just, going to the grocery store or doctor visits. So, a group of journalists in Savannah just started a new organization called the Savannah Ink and Drinks Journalism Society. And
that
so
sounds good.
Yeah. So once a month, we're going to meet. It's a group of veteran journalists, some of whom worked in Savannah and some like me who have never worked in Savannah full time, and a lot of younger journalists to sort of mentor them and get to know them, and so that they can call on us if they have any needs. And, even after that first meeting the other day, we had it at a bar, of course, downtown.
That's why my ears perked up. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that first meeting, one of them reached out to me and she sent me a text message and asked me for a quote in a story she's working on. And so the interesting thing, because these are young people, she sent me the question in a text message. I'm used to reporters either calling or sending me an email. And so I wrote my response in email, and then I went, oh shoot, I don't have her email address. So I sent her a text message and said, would you please send me your email address? Never heard from her. So I just cut and pasted and transitioned it over to a text message, and she immediately responded. So there we go. We have just found the difference between the young journalists and the older journalists.
Well, that's sort of a good tip for that we didn't know before. If you want to get in touch with, but that is true about your kids and your young people in your life. They will, as they say, hit you right back if you send them a text. But that email is work. I think they associate email with structured work.
Yeah, I guess so. But it is work. She was working on a story, but that's just the way the younger journalists work. So, I have to respect it. I'm sure her story will be fine with or without my email.
Absolutely. Well, I have to tell you, I have to get to be honest, Wanda, now that I think about it, when you usually ask me to send it, well, just send it an email. And I always think, oh, so be easier than a text. Well, because the text is easier. It's for some reason, it feels that way to me. So when you say, you haven't looked at your emails yet?
I'm just old school. I like email. Plus, I can't do texting on the computer for everybody because I use an iPhone. And if whoever you are, don't have an iPhone, I can't communicate on the computer. And I have trouble with those little tiny numbers and my big fat fingers. So I think that has something to do with it also.
You have big fat fingers. It's so funny.
Our main segment today is Words Matter. Now, Tina and I have been talking about doing this segment since before we did the first episode, when we were just thinking about having this podcast. We started talking about words matter, and we might do it again in a few months because we love words so much. So as you know, because we've said this before, Tina and I, as writers and editors, all about words. And remember, Tina, when we were editing Meeting at the Table in 2020, sometimes we'd be up all night on Zoom, and we would have a little friendly challenge about a single word that would go on for like 30 minutes, I swear. Yeah. And then we spend some time on one word, and then sometimes just on a comma. She's still on my back about commas. So
absolutely.
We're not gonna get you started on the comma.
I don't want that comma at the end. If you don't need that comma, you have and. But we'll discuss that on another. But one thing, words matter. Not only this is a show about words, but for us, words matter. Anything that communications, punctuation matters, spelling matters, pronunciation matters. All those things, really matter to us. And one of the things that we found out, Wanda, is that people judge is the wrong word, but assess you a great deal with your vocabulary and and how you speak. and your of course, I'm looking for the word now, but the way that, the way exactly the way that that you use the English language, just your usage really is very important. And so for you and me, we're writers, and so words matter literally. That's our living. That's how we live.
Right.
The words matter in our hearts. You'll find out as you hear our list.
Okay. So Tina has a list of words. It's not a long list. I have a list. And we're going to just go, Tina, do the first word, I'll do the second word, and we're going to go, and we'll just talk about our respective words. So Tina, you go first. What's your first word?
Okay. Wanda also said, I said something about her list. I said, you added a couple of words. I looked at, we have sort of a script. And so it's more of a suggestion than a script. And I said, you asked words. She said, no, I didn't. Well, she says, I gave you one of my words. So, we were exchanging words.
She took one of my words.
Well, that's true. That's true. But she told me all my words have stories. She said hers just have explanations. But clearly the first word is booty, booty, that you use, my booty of fish. And booty means, a treasure trove kind of, something that you have, that you not only have, but that you're pleased with, it has great value. And so when she said my booty of fish, I was like, oh, I haven't heard that word in forever. So I took that. Booty's my first one.
So it's not just the people who twerk.
It's a different booty. I know. And I also like, I wish I had learned that word as a kid, because I would have enjoyed it a lot more, just being able to say booty when, and back in the day, when we couldn't say, there was a whole list of words.
Oh, no.
And booty was definitely one of them. Yeah. So what's your word, Wanda?
Well, my first word, Tina, these are actually 4 words, and we learned these words immediately when we got to Spelman College. You could not get out of freshman orientation without knowing the difference between these words. So the words are alumni, alums, alumni, and alumna. And specifically for us as women, it's alumni and alumna. So a lot of people say alumni when they talk about people who went to a school, whether it's high school or college. Heck, it could be kindergarten for all I know.
They use the male.
Yeah.
Gender,
in fact, I see on some of my Facebook groups that people use alumni for people who used to work at a certain place, like, people who worked at the Washington Post. I'm on that group, and people who worked in, different newsrooms or different places or different companies. But for alumni, we learned very early that the plural of us as women, as women students, was ALUMNAE. And alumna is the individual person. So I am an alumna, you are an alumna, we are alumni. And so just wanted to point that out, because sometimes I have written alumni in, I don't know, it was letters, emails, it could have been a story. I may have corrected somebody's story and they go, oh, no, what is that? What is that? What is that? And I have to, I have to school them on this literally and say, this is the correct way to represent women. And if it's all of us alumni for a co-ed school, for example, we would be alumni, all of us. Yeah. So,
well, you and I talk about Latin. You said you wanted to take Latin and you didn't get an opportunity to. That maybe it wasn't offered at your school. But
no, my mother took Latin at the same school I went to, and she was shocked that by the time I came along, I didn't have to take Latin. They had just cut it out of the public schools. I went to a parochial school. I went to a Catholic school, and thank goodness I did, as a writer, take maybe 3 years of Latin. But I always thought the simple way was, if it's men or men and women, it's the male, which is US, alumnus. Yes. And if it's, it's men and women, it's I. But it jumped out at me when I was, because there's a lot of male and female and, in romantic languages and Latin languages. And so that's how I always remember. But you're absolutely right. If you're talking about a Spelman grad, she's an A, alumna. Yes, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah. Well, so what's your next one?
My next one is one I stole from you, and I had to, and it's because I had to, because people who know me know that juxtaposition is one of my favorite words. I use juxtaposition in one of my novels because I was just looking for a place to put it in Ugly Ways, the story about three girls. They play a little game of who did the worst thing, and one of the sisters said that she slept with the guy because he used juxtaposition correctly in a sentence. And I think I just understand the same thing. Juxtaposition, you use all of your lip, your tongue when you say it, juxtaposition. And I like the way my mother used to say that. So I like the way words feel in my mouth. And juxtaposition is one of my favorite words. So
Tina, I don't remember the first time I heard the word. It might have been in college. I'm pretty sure it wasn't in high school. But the thing I remember most about juxtaposition, I also love to say that word. You're juxtaposed next to something. It's comparing one thing with the other. But I remember when my daughter was in middle school, she brought home a list of spelling words every week. And I made her write those words down 3 times. And we would tape one copy to the refrigerator and one copy like on the bulletin board in her room. And one copy was on the dashboard of the car. And I remember when she was doing juxtaposition, and I thought, are you still in middle school? I know this is a grown-up word. And I don't mean grown-up in terms of, it's a dirty word. It's just a word that children don't normally
absolutely.
learn.
It's a very sophisticated word. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to learn the concept just to say something is juxtaposed to, to another object or thought or a meaning. But you're right, it's a very sophisticated word. When you told me that story, I was so surprised. I said the same thing. Middle school. I was definitely grown when I heard the word. I was, as a matter of fact, I was a journalist working at HAC. So, and when we both heard it, we just grabbed it, huh? We just said, "Oh, this is mine. I'm taking."
I love that word. I love that word.
Yeah. What about you?
I guess. So my next one is a copy editor's word. Both you and I were both copy editors at newspapers early in our career. And the word is ultimate versus penultimate. And I was stunned when I learned this word because, again, I was an adult, I was a copy editor, and I learned that, I had always heard you're the ultimate this or it's the ultimate that, which we always understood to be the last or the best or the highest. And then I heard penultimate and I thought, well, what is that? Penultimate is next to the last. And so if you have a series of things going on in the world or in life or in your world, and you say, this was the penultimate event of the year, that means there's going to be one more, or there was one more. And the ultimate is the last event. So penultimate, you just take the word ultimate and put the word PEN in front of it, and you got penultimate. I love those words and I love using them, and I don't get a chance to use them very much in writing, but I wonder how many people really know that.
Wanda and I are always saying, "Oh, I never hear anybody use that word in conversation," and we'll just say, well, "We just want to use it." It doesn't come up that often, so we just use words that we like in conversation. And I also have heard, as a matter of fact, you have to be careful because these aren't words that necessarily educated people know. These are words that knowledgeable people know. You don't have to be, because I have heard educated people on television once, Wanda, use penultimate, meaning the ultimate. Like past ultimate. And the people on the panel were so embarrassed, but it was like book TV or something, and they couldn't say anything, because they would have to correct the guy right there on screen. Yeah. But I think people do think that ultimate and then penultimate must be just past that, when it's just the opposite.
It's just the opposite. Yeah. That's so what's your next one?
Penultimate. This is the first word my mother ever asked me the definition of. And I was 35 probably. My mother, the reason I'm a writer is because my mother, we loved words. Oh my goodness. I wish she were here to have me in this discussion. She loved words. And that's why I heard really a lot of my first words from her. She had a very sophisticated, because she read widely, but she had a very sophisticated vocabulary, but she was, a mid-sized town woman. She didn't really fly got on the plane until we were in college probably, but she read all the time, and that made her so much more, worldly. And so I had written an essay for the AJC. We had moved back down to St. Simon's from where I thought was the north. And I wrote this essay about being so glad to be back home, South, Lord have mercy. And how people, when I said that, Black people would look at me like, you don't know what the South is, kind of thing. This was years ago. As you said, the South is hot now. It's very different. The South is, as a subject, is very hot. But I've written this essay, and in it I used the word quotidian, and I used it for her. I said that my mother's quotidian routine of putting on water for a pot of grits is something that I missed. And my mother read it, and I said, and I looked at her because I was surprised that she had asked me. She had never asked me the definition of a word. And I said, "You didn't look it up?" And she said, "Of course I looked it up." She says, "But I want to hear what the writer means when she said quotidian." And I thought, well, that was just, it was so sophisticated, but it was also such a compliment to me, from your mama, that she wanted to know exactly what you meant when you meant quotidian. So if quotidian means daily, everyday routine. And so that's kind of a.
So you weren't looking at me when you first started talking, but I was shaking my head like,
What?
Because you wrote a book review a few weeks ago. I think it was a book review. Yeah, it was. It was Honoree's book, The Love Songs of W.
No, I didn't review that.
What was that? Well, you wrote a book review, and
the three girls from
three girls from Bronzeville. That's what it was. And you used the word quotidian, and I called you because I said, "Tina, you sent me to the dictionary," because I swear I've never heard that word before.
Well, when I used to work at a newspaper, I bet you had this experience as well. And when you were running a newspaper, as well as when you were on the copy desk, is that I would use certain words, and I wish I could remember what one of the words was, but someone, I must have been writing, as a matter of fact, because it was a word that I had come up with, and the editor said the same thing. "Tina, people are going to use this newspaper ain't going to know what." I said, "Hey, tell them to go to the library. That's what we're here for. We're here to teach them new words." And they said I was being lofty, but I didn't care, because I really thought I really do think that that's one of the duties of writing, is to expose people to new words and new ideas and new thoughts, but I wish I could remember what the word was, but it was kind of like quotidian, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But I love that. And you went to the dictionary. See, you did exactly what I want people to do.
Yeah, I had to. I mean, for me, it was like dictionary.com. I mean, I didn't go pick up the book.
I go to the dictionary. I play games on the dictionary thing. I go every 3 or 4 days, I look to see what the word of the day is. And lots of times it's a word I love, or word that I didn't know, or so I like that.
Okay, my next word is new to me, because I was having a conversation with my daughter, and she said hangry. She was hangry, or maybe she said I was hangry, and I said, "What the heck is that?"
Wanda.
Hangry, hangry. And I didn't know the word. And she said, "You don't know hangry?" I said, "Yeah, did you just make that up?" Because she and her dad are really good about making up words.
They do.
And she said, "No, I didn't make it up. It's a real word." So I went to dictionary.com, and there it was. No, that's not true. First, I went to the Urban Dictionary, because I just assumed it was an Urban Dictionary kind of word, and it was there. But then I went a few days later, I went to dictionary.com. So this just means I am hungry and I'm angry.
It's a perfect word, because when I'm hungry, I am pretty much angry. Absolutely.
So I can get something on my stomach. I'm angry, and I'm that way. So anyway, hangry is the word.
I mean, it's especially among, I was going to say among Black people, but among all people, it's a joke that the man always says, "Lord have mercy, get her something to eat." She don't let her be hungry. And I think that's wonderful. I want people to know, don't let me be hungry. I get hangry.
I get angry.
Well,
I'm going to be using it more in writing because I've got to find
like
the time
that.
and a way to use hangry. Yeah.
You like that. Yeah. Yeah. And it does, it elevates your writing. It really always elevates your writing when you have a current word. Well, speaking of current words, my next word is a word that has an asterisk beside it because it's the word conversate. Okay. For years, I told my young people, there's no such word as conversate. It's you either converse with somebody, you talk with somebody, you speak to somebody, but there's no such word as conversate. Okay. Again, it's like fighting a tidal wave. Language is alive and moving and active and changing all the time. And now, like you say, if you go to a dictionary, look up conversate, it's right there.
Is it really?
It's the most amazing thing.
Oh my goodness. And I knew you were going to use this word, but I didn't even go to the dictionary because I just assumed it wouldn't be there. I don't like that word.
I hate that word. It's not a word.
I just don't like it. Yeah.
It's not a word. Unfortunately, Snoop Dogg and them started using it, and everybody else started using it. And before you know it, people went. And I have had little schoolgirls, younger little schoolgirls, using it, thinking they were using a highfalutin word. Oh my goodness, And you hate to pop that balloon, but I can't have you going around in this world being my little schoolgirl saying conversate. It reflects badly on me. But no, it reflects badly on the. I'm just kidding. It reflects badly on the speaker.
On them,
I think. But again, the language moves and changes, just like hangry.
Yeah, yeah.
So conversate, I guess, is my word. I prefer converse, but what can I do? Okay. What's your next one?
Well, let's just talk. You know what I mean? Let's just talk. Okay, so my next word, well, you know what? I threw this out there on social media because I was thinking about words and you were coming up with all these words and I'm like, I can't think of enough words. So I threw it out there on social media. And one of our friends, our mutual friends who wrote an essay in our book, Meeting at the Table, Peachy Wimbush Polk, said, I love accoutrements. Is it but then when I listened to it, I clicked a little listen thing on the dictionary and it said, I used to call it accoutrement, but I think that's the French
but that's the way
pronunciation.
It's spelled with an S, but the S is
silent.
The
S is silent, yeah. No, the difference is accoutrement and accoutrement. The dictionary, the audio version called it accoutrements, which kind of got on my nerve. Anyway, Peachy loves this word. She said, oh, wait a minute, that's not Peachy's word, is it? Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, she said, I love the way it's just kind of rolls on your tongue. Yeah. Yeah, so accoutrement is like a clothing.
Like juxtaposition.
Yeah,
it does feel good. Accoutrement.
So it's a clothing accessory or an accessory piece of equipment. Like in the military, people talk about accoutrement. It's accessories like maybe the helmet and I guess maybe even weapons, but the things that you put on your body. For
your backpack and all the, your equipment. Yeah. It also is also used not only in fashion, it's also used in design because you talk about accoutrement in the design, that chair is an accoutrement in that corner that, meaning that just sort of brings it together. But that is a wonderful word. And I'm with Peachy. I prefer the French pronunciation. I stick with accoutrement. Okay. What about you?
I do too. I've only known it as accoutrement. Today was the first time I heard it.
I think it's one of those words that Americans or people, English speaking people have said so long that like conversate that it's accepted.
Yeah. Okay, Tina, you get one more and then we're gonna move on because we can't we'd be here all night talking about words.
I know,
right?
and we're gonna do another one, y'all. So
we'll save some of these words.
We're happy to hear your words and happy to hear any thoughts for the show. Well, my last one is just one of my favorite ones, and it's BENNE, BENNE, as in Benny seed. I grew up in Middle Georgia, away from the coast, where Benny seed wafers, cookies are famous. Savannah has different companies that have Benny seeds, and they ship them out. They're known for that. But I was born in Macon, Georgia, and all we had was this muddy river going by, and so I don't know how it happens. But when I grew up, my mother was a great cook, a great chef, and she loved cooking, and she always called the sesame seeds Benny seeds. And I don't know why, it got to Macon, Georgia, but I looked it up. Benny it's a West African word. It's really an Indian word and a West African word. And it's thought to be originally from the Bantu language. And it came, as Matt, I thought about you, Wanda, it came over in the ships, along with the human beings who were there as human cargo to be slaves in the New World. And it was brought, as you said in your essay in Meeting at the Table, it was brought in the pouches and the pouches and the pockets of African people, West African folks who were brought over on in the Middle Passage to this country. And one of the things like not peanuts, like what's one of the sweet potatoes and yams and those kinds of things that they also brought Benny seeds and Benny seeds. So whenever I think of Benny seeds, I always think of West African. I always think of my mama, with her little container of Benny seeds in the kitchen that she used to roast, and because that's when the flavor comes out. You roast them and the flavor comes out, and so it's used in sweet cookies and other cookies. And so it's a West African word. I really kind of wanted to definitely get in a word that has our heritage in it, and it's a favorite word.
Right. Yeah. There's a cookie company here called Bird Cookie Company, which I exposed you to some good old bird cookies.
Oh my goodness, they're wonderful. As a matter of fact, they should sponsor our show as many cookies.
I know, right? Yeah, because I'm getting ready to mention my favorite cookie of the Bird Cookie Company line is the Benny wafers. They are sweet. They're tiny little things, little cookies, and they're just so sweet and flavorful. So
and they're a little nutty without being without having that's what when you cook the Benny seeds, you cook the sesame seeds, that brings out the flavor. So baked in cookies, wow, yeah,
it's so good.
We love them.
I sent a bag of them to Tina for Christmas a couple of years ago. This year I had to take her another bag or send it to her or something, because they were just so good.
Absolutely. And when I visit you, we have a good time. We stopped by, we swung by the cookie company. Yeah.
Go in there and you can taste everything they make. Do not take my husband, Willie Lloyd, into the cookie company, because he will just go straight down the line and make them take it out. And then he'll go back to the front of the line again. I'm like, okay, well, that's my dinner. I had dinner.
Hey, can't take him anywhere, Wanda. Nope. Cannot take him anywhere, I swear. I'm going to let you talk about my Willie Lloyd. That's my brother, Junior.
Okay. Okay, well, we will come back to Words Matter at in another episode. And like
can I say one thing, Wanda? I don't know if we have time. I'm going to say it really quickly. And that is, Wanda's, I suggested words that Black people say incorrectly, but they're better than the original words they came up with. And so Wanda said to me, this is so Wanda, well, Tina, if you're going to do it respectfully. I said, no, Wanda, I'm going to do it disrespectfully. I'm going to disrespect all of my ancestors, everybody. So we're going to do that one next time. Because that's a good word. That's a good category. Maybe y'all can tell us some of those. We'd love to share some of those with you. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Well, Tina, before we go, let's drop some wisdom. You want to go first?
I'll go first. That's what we say we do. Well, folks, as you can see, I wore hopefully a springy looking dress because it's springtime. It is time to get out there and do what we do in springtime. And that is, we need to plant something. And not just because it's springtime and that's what you do every time, or that's because you promised yourself, oh, I'm gonna start a garden this year and all of that. No, I think that we should just, especially after the 2 years of pandemic we've been through, everything that's been happening in the world, I think that we need to plant something. And not, if you don't have a garden, you can plant it on a cup. Anywhere you have sun in your house, you can put, not necessarily a tomato plant. Wanda doesn't like tomatoes, but you might, put a little pepper plant, or put an herb plant, or put some seeds in the ground and see them sprout. I think we need to see something planted in the dirt sprout again. In these times, we need some hope and some rebirth. Like I said, on the windowsill or on a wash tub. I have a little schoolgirl who took some plants for me when she visited here, and she lives in New York City, and she put the plants out on her fire escape. So she had a fire escape garden. I mean, anywhere that you can get some sunlight, I think it's a good idea. Not just because I'm a gardener, but because we really need to see something come out of the ground and grow and be green and beautiful and see life again. That's my wisdom. Plant something.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Yeah.
What about you?
Okay. Well, Tina and I were talking earlier today, and I said, Tina, I don't have a wisdom. My wisdom, is gone out of my head right now. I was running around. I was doing a lot of things. I was about to meet friends for lunch and just doing a bunch of, take the dog for a walk. And so I had in the script, I said TBD. She was like, what is TBD? I said, to be determined, because I didn't know what I was going to talk about. But as just before I left, okay, so Tina and I, when we get together with each other or sometimes with other people, we're always thinking about taking pictures. We just, because everybody likes to take pictures. And Absolutely. Tina and I in particular think about, let's take pictures every time we're together, because we can use it on our social media. We can use it in our podcast. So many ways we can use it. And then we get together, we have so much fun, and we're just laughing and talking and eating and riding around and looking at things. And we forget to take pictures. And I get back home.
Exactly.
We didn't take pictures.
We have been together where we have not taken one single picture.
Exactly. Yeah. So today, and I'm going to say a wise woman told me this, but her name is Tina Macarons.
Okay.
As I was about to run out to this meeting with some friends, a new friend, someone I've known for a long time on social media, and we've talked on the phone. She's a fellow writer, but we had never met in person, mostly because of the pandemic. And so I remembered what Tina said. She said, take your pictures first. And as soon as my friend pulled up to the restaurant today, I was standing outside doing like this, reminding myself to take the pictures first. And we did that. We got some great pictures. I put them on social media already. And so that's my wisdom. When you're seeing people that you love, your family, your friends, people you haven't seen in a long time, you're going to forget to take the pictures. So we want to take these pictures first. And I did that today. And I'm so proud of myself.
Oh, that's a great wisdom. I'm so pleased that I dropped the germ, but you took it and ran with it, because I saw the pictures on social media. I said to myself, look at that. Those are great. I didn't think about taking pictures first, but I sure did think you got some good pictures today. And
yeah,
you got them already. That's what I said.
How about that?
That's some good wisdom. Yeah.
Well, that's it for this. That's right. Who is right? This is that's it for this episode of Two Old Chicks Who Know a Lot of Shit. We love some of the great comments we're seeing on social media. So thank you so much. But we're asking you a favor. Keep the comments coming, but also please share some of our tweets, our Instagram posts, and help us share the news and get more people to follow or subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. So
we get lots of comments from people saying we learned so much from your, and that's what we're here for. So we want more people here because we want to widen our audience, but we want to spread what we know. That's why we want to widen the audience. So help us out with that.
Yeah. So I guess it's time to say goodbye.
It's time to say goodbye. Well, we'll see you soon. Take care. Love and peace.
Bye-bye, everybody. Love.